Cheers, guys. Epix 911, welcome to the Elitist Geek VR news for
Gaming Friday.
Gaming Friday indeed, Friday, December 23rd, 2016. Apparently a lot of people have been having issues with the current Steam sale, getting pages to load, issues with bandwidth. Apparently, according to Exity, I've had issues.
You've had issues. 3 hours to download Dead Pixels, an update. Tiny little game. 3 hours.
Yeah, so it looks like their servers are getting absolutely hammered with people not just purchasing the games, but of course downloading and installing those games. Hopefully that subsides and doesn't plague people too much longer. Next up, the game Island 359 has received an update called the Zero Dark Update. This is going to add smooth locomotion via the trackpad. So that'll give it the same type of smooth locomotion that Serious Sam First Encounter has and Doom 3 brought. And personally, if you are into first-person games, you don't have motion sickness issues, that is just a really good way to play it because it kind of mimics the way it's supposed to be played. They haven't replaced the teleportation locomotion, so if you're needing to use that for motion sickness or other issues, don't worry, that has not been replaced. It is still there. IMAX, they were to release by the end of the calendar year their first cinematic VR experiences. That's been officially delayed by the company. They say it's now been pushed to early 2017, so just a delay of just a few additional months. The hardware we've mentioned that they're going to be using are the Starbreeze StarVR headsets. Those are the ones manufactured by Acer Technologies, offering a 210-degree field of view, so basically 100 degrees over the Rift, Vive, and PlayStation, as well as 6 degrees of freedom tracking, 2560 by 1440 per eye. And experiences are going to include presentations like Overkill's The Walking Dead VR experience. So hopefully that stays on track for this revised timeline and we start to see those appear. One is slated for my Cineplex Odeon Theater that has IMAX here. Personally, can't wait to see those and try them out. Next news story, a new art program called MasterpieceVR. It's going to bring, according to them, cross-platform multiplayer painting and sculpting to Rift and Vive. Now, the company creating this application is called Brinks Software, and how they envision their software standing apart from the others, like Quill and Medium, Tilt Brush, is in the multiplayer mode, changing your camera angle or scaling, zooming in and out isn't going to impact the rest of the people around you that are in there with you doing the paint experience. So everybody's view, while shared, is independent in terms of the scaling, the zooming, and everything else. So it's going to prevent that kind of crowded out feeling that you can get in VR. If you got too many people, start tinkering with the views and the zooms, it can quickly kind of get out of hand, out of control. So that is good. It's going to offer more of the sculpting options as well. Animated brushes, many of the similar style brushes that you've gotten used to in those applications. So it looks good. 11 regular and animated brushes in total, including an interesting water brush that they say will warp the view of anything behind it. So you'll be able to do stuff like waterfall effects. That sounds pretty cool. Available for both Rift and Vive, January 2017, so less than a month away. Next news story, what drives us to seek out immersive experiences? And I thought this was a good article on UpoadVR because it really kind of speaks to the core of what makes us such an adventurous species. And true, there's those of us who are happy and content to just sit in one place, never explore over the horizon. I mean, my grandparents, just to give you an idea, country of Holland, which is about the size of Vancouver Island, albeit 15, 16 million people, they never left the country. I think the only time they ever left was when my parents got married in Germany. That was their first and only trip outside of the country. So Definitely not very adventurous. My grandmother in her later years said she would have liked to travel, but it wasn't my grandfather's cup of tea. Not so much for myself, my father, and a lot of the other members of my family. We do have that wanderlust and want to see what's over the next hill. And that's something that has been driving us as a species, whether it was crossing the Atlantic, colonization of the New World, absolute atrocities along the way, but that push for new frontiers, space now, with robotic vehicles that we're sending out, hopefully manned flights to Mars and beyond, are things that I'm going to be able to see within my lifetime. But it's all of those things that really kind of combine and define what makes virtual reality so interesting for us, because it hints at being able to do all of that, not just some of it. Basically, endless possibilities in virtual reality. Really good article on UpoadVR, touches on all of that. Just some of those key things that drive that curiosity in us humans. Discovery, mastery, creation, transcendence. Really good article. Not the time and place to go over the whole entire thing, but have a read if that's of interest to you. Definitely some really good points. Also a discussion with the company called IDEO, and these were the guys that first commercialized Xerox's mouse for mass market and consumers. So company that's been behind really some pivotal human computer inventions and their take on what drives us to things like virtual reality. Very cool article. Next up, those of you in the EU who have yet to experience any kind of a Sony PlayStation sale are finally getting a Sony PlayStation sale in terms of games. So VR games, I think there's about 12 games in total. Not a ton of VR games, but some of the titles that are on for sale are pretty good deals. For example, Eve Valkyrie on sale for 36% off. Battlezone and Rigs both 30% off, as well as Gunjack and The Assembly. Those are some additional titles that are on sale. So check that out, link below. Next up, and the last news story, UpoadVR's 2016 Gaming VR nominations. Now, this is a huge list. Not going to pop them up all over the screen. I just thought there were some neat titles included here and some interesting omissions. And I kind of know where they were going with this. For example, why was Elite Dangerous not represented here? And I guess it probably has to do with the fact that it is not natively a virtual reality game. It's a game that has virtual reality support and thus was probably not included here. So fine, I'll give them that. Interesting to also see fairly new titles like Arizona Sunshine swoop in and basically 3-4 category nominations, including Game of the Year for Rift, Game of the Year for Vive, Newcomer Game of the Year. So some very interesting nominations. Check that out. All right, guys, that's it for the news. It is gaming time. As always, cheers, and definitely catch you on the VR flip side.